There's something unsettling about the way we hold on to things, not just physical objects, though we do that too. I'm talking about the invisible grip we have on outcomes, on people, on versions of ourselves that maybe never even existed. We clutch these things so tightly that our knuckles turn white, convinced that if we just squeeze hard enough, we can force life to bend to our will. But here's what nobody tells you. The very act of holding on is what keeps you stuck. It's what keeps you circling the same patterns, having the same conversations, feeling the same frustrations year after year. You think you're being strong, determined, committed. But really, you're just afraid that if you open your hands, everything will slip away. And maybe it will. Maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. You see, transformation isn't about adding more to your life. It's not about finding the perfect strategy, the right technique, or the magical mindset shift that will finally make everything click. Transformation happens in the space between what was and what could be, and that space only opens when you stop trying to control the outcome. Think about it. When was the last time something truly shifted in your life? When did you actually break free from a pattern that had been holding you back? I'm willing to bet it wasn't when you were pushing harder, trying more intensely, or gripping tighter. It was probably in a moment when you finally exhaled, when you said, "I don't know what's going to happen, and that's okay." But we've been trained to think that letting go equals giving up, that releasing control means we're weak, passive, or somehow failing at life. We live in a culture that worships the hustle, that tells us to manifest our destiny and take charge of our future. And while there's truth in taking action, there's a deeper truth that gets buried underneath all that noise. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Not the nothing of avoidance or procrastination, not the nothing of fear or paralysis, but the nothing of trust, the nothing of allowing, the nothing that creates space for something new to emerge. I know this sounds counterintuitive. Your mind is probably already generating a list of reasons why this can't be true. But before you dismiss this completely, let me ask you something. How's the holding on working for you? How's the controlling, the pushing, the forcing? Has it brought you the peace you're looking for? Has it created the relationships you want? Has it given you the life you imagined? If you're watching this video, I'm guessing the answer is no, and that's not your fault. You've been doing what you thought you were supposed to do. You've been following the script that society handed you. Work harder, try more, figure it out, make it happen. But what if the script is wrong? What if the secret to getting what you want is to stop wanting it so desperately? What if the path to having more is to need less? What if transformation only becomes possible when you stop trying to transform? This isn't about becoming passive or apathetic. This isn't about giving up on your dreams or settling for mediocrity. This is about understanding the difference between effort and struggle, between action and force, between moving towards something and grasping at it. When you truly let go, you don't lose power. You find it. But it's a different kind of power than what you've been taught to seek. It's not the power to control outcomes. It's the power to respond to whatever arises. It's not the power to avoid uncertainty. It's the power to dance with it. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing something to happen, it becomes possible. The moment you release your death grip on how things should be, they can finally become what they're meant to be. The moment you stop trying to force transformation, it can actually occur. But letting go isn't a one-time event. It's not something you do once, and then you're free forever. It's a practice, a daily choice, a moment-by-moment decision to open your hands instead of making fists. Some days you'll catch yourself gripping again. You'll notice the tension in your shoulders, the anxiety in your chest, the endless mental loops trying to figure everything out. And that's okay. That's human. The practice isn't about never holding on. It's about noticing when you are and choosing to release. You might be wondering what exactly you're supposed to let go of. Maybe it's that relationship that ended months ago, but still lives in your head. Maybe it's the career path you thought you wanted, but that never quite materialized. Maybe it's the version of yourself you thought you'd be by now. Maybe it's the need to be understood by people who have already decided who you are. Or maybe it's something deeper. Maybe it's the belief that you have to earn love. Maybe it's the conviction that you're not enough as you are. Maybe it's the fear that if you stop pushing so hard, you'll disappear entirely. Whatever it is, it's costing you more than you realize. Not just in terms of energy or peace of mind, though it's definitely costing you those things. It's costing you the life that's trying to emerge through you, the relationships that want to deepen, the opportunities that are waiting for you to create space for them. The truth is, nothing can transform while you're holding it in place. Change requires movement, and movement requires space. When your hands are full of what was, there's no room for what could be. But when you finally open those hands, when you finally take that deep breath and say, I don't know what happens next, and I'm willing to find out, something shifts, not always immediately, not always dramatically, but inevitably, because transformation isn't something you do, it's something you allow. And maybe that's the hardest part for most of us to accept. We want to be the architects of our own change. We want to plot it out, schedule it, track its progress. We want transformation to show up like a well-behaved employee, arriving exactly when we expect it and delivering precisely what we ordered. But transformation is more like weather. You can study the patterns, read the signs, prepare as best you can, but you cannot command it. You cannot schedule a thunderstorm or negotiate with a sunrise. You can only position yourself to receive what comes. This doesn't mean you become a passive observer of your own life. It means you learn the difference between being in the river and trying to control the river. When you're in the river, you can navigate. You can read the currents, avoid the rocks, choose which channels to follow. But when you try to control the river, you exhaust yourself fighting forces far greater than your individual will. Most people spend their entire lives trying to dam the river. They build elaborate structures to redirect the flow, to make it behave according to their plans. And sometimes it works for a while, but eventually the pressure builds. Eventually something gives way, and when it does, the flood that follows is often more destructive than if they had simply learned to flow with what was already moving. You see this in people who hold on to relationships long after they've ended, not just romantic relationships, but friendships that have run their course, family dynamics that no longer serve anyone, professional partnerships that have become toxic. They keep trying to revive something that is already decomposing, pouring energy into what wants to die, instead of allowing space for what wants to be born. You see it in people who cling to identities that no longer fit. The successful executive who secretly dreams of teaching children. The dutiful child who never learned to say no to their parents. The people pleaser who has forgotten what they actually enjoy when no one else is watching. They hold on to these roles so tightly that they forget who they are underneath all the performance. And you see it in the way we relate to our own pain. We grip our wounds like treasures, telling the same stories about how we were wronged, how we were failed, how we were betrayed. We make our suffering into a monument and then wonder why we can't move forward. But pain that is held becomes poison. Pain that is felt and released becomes wisdom. The invitation isn't to pretend the pain doesn't exist. The invitation is to stop making it your permanent address. When you finally understand this, something remarkable happens. You stop treating your life like a problem to be solved and start experiencing it as a mystery to be lived. You stop asking, how can I make this happen? And start asking, what is trying to happen through me? This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of forcing doors that won't open, you notice the ones that are already ajar. Instead of pushing against resistance, you find the path of least resistance. Instead of trying to be someone you think you should be, you discover who you actually are when you stop trying so hard. But here's what's beautiful about this process. As you learn to let go, as you practice releasing your grip on outcomes and expectations, you don't become less engaged with life. You become more present to it. You stop living in the future you're trying to create or the past you're trying to fix, and you start inhabiting the moment you're actually in. And in that presence, in that full engagement with what is, rather than what should be, transformation happens naturally, not because you forced it, but because you created the conditions for it. Not because you demanded it, but because you allowed it. The caterpillar doesn't try to become a butterfly. It simply surrenders to the process that is already coded within it. It dissolves into formlessness, trusting something it cannot understand, becoming something it could never have imagined while it was still crawling on the ground. Maybe that's what you're being asked to do right now. Maybe the thing you're holding on to so tightly is exactly what's preventing you from becoming who you're meant to be. Maybe the life you're trying so hard to control is keeping you from the life that wants to live through you. So take a breath, soften your grip, feel your shoulders drop, feel your jaw relax. Feel the space that opens when you stop clenching against uncertainty. Nothing transforms until you let go. But when you do, when you finally release what was never yours to control in the first place, everything becomes possible. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to trust the process you cannot see, willing to step into the unknown without a map, willing to discover what's waiting for you on the other side of surrender. Because on the other side of letting go isn't emptiness, it's fullness. It's life as it was always meant to be lived, unrehearsed, unforced, unafraid. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what you've been looking for all along.